So throughout my series review of the Pixar movies, I have generally stated one thing throughout. Pixar is not for kids. Never before has this been truer than in the film Up. When this film came out, it was considered one of the most emotional films ever, and probably still is for a very good reason. Every little snippet of this film uses every detail to make you care about everything that is happening. Watching this film clearly shows that this film is not for kids and is way much more than just a family animated movie. So join me, the average critic, and let's talk about Up, Pixar's most emotional movie. So let's start with the whole reason why right from the start, why this film is so emotional. That opening. It's interesting how the first 10 minutes of a movie can make you care about two characters and then again with nothing but music and visual imagery. It does this because you understand the characters. From the start, Carl and Ellie are brought together because of their love of exploring. So right there, you understand why they get together and is a core element not just through this segment but through the whole movie. You see that it is always on their minds as they work together in a South American section at a zoo, and they keep trying to save up money for Paradise Falls. Small things get in the way, but they never let it upset them because they have each other. And you see, the serious moments of Ellie not being able to bear children is horrifying for anyone, but it's Carl that makes her feel better. This symbol of Carl and Ellie having a dream of kids is an internal aspect of the movie that plays in later. That just because one dream can't be made realistic doesn't mean another one can't. The visual storytelling is done so well, and it didn't need any dialogue. The music, which we will go on to later, tells the story throughout. I love the use of colour as the more darker aspects of this movie, not just in this segment but in the whole film, the colour is massively dimmed to show how Carl feels and how Ellie is the colour in his life. This is shown particularly well in the opening, as when Carl is seen sat at Ellie's funeral and walks into his house, the balloon is the only thing with a saturated colour to show the last tiny piece of Ellie fading away from Carl. But now we've wiped away the tears, we can move on and talk about other characters as well. As much as we do love Carl and Ellie, Up is filled with other interesting characters as well. Now some films can suffer from having background characters not be as interesting or even annoying, but Up doesn't do this at all. As much as all the emotional payoffs do come from our main characters Carl and Ellie, that doesn't stop you from caring for other characters like Russell and Doug. Once again, they allow all characters enough dialogue and screen time to make you care for them. Despite Russell, who on paper could be seen as the annoying, childish character, never is because, once again, he's given a dark and mature backstory. Learning about how his father is never around and how just doing something as simple as counting cars while eating ice cream is incredibly moving. This makes you care for Russell even more because he has understandable motives, a link in common with Carl for their love of exploring, and a moving backstory that makes you care. Even Doug, who despite doesn't get much of a backstory until you see his short Doug's Special Mission, is a sympathetic and hilarious character. It would have been easy to give Doug more human characteristics, but they chose to keep his dog-like personality. Squirrel! This gives him a sense of innocence. Doug saying to Carl about him being his master and that he loves him is not only funny and entertaining, but as we know, dogs love unconditionally, making this character genuine and innocent. Now with any story you tell, your characters have to have a problem to overcome and to learn something along the way, otherwise the story becomes pointless. This makes Up so special because every single one of our characters learns something from someone else. Carl learns from Ellie about what is important to him, and even though Ellie is represented through the house, that in the end, it's just a house, and that Ellie didn't have anything else to live for as she had a great life with Carl. Russell learns from Carl the importance of family, as even though he doesn't have a mother and that his father is never around, that doesn't mean he can't find another one, as Carl becomes a surrogate father to Russell, as at the end of the movie, Carl presents him with the Ellie badge to represent the importance of family and love. And even Doug learns the importance of how family treat one another. He is constantly bullied by Alpha and the other dog, and learns to stand up for himself, and to simplify it,
good boy, Doug. Yeah, good boy.
Do you understand the words that I'm saying to you now?
So I'd be stupid not to talk about the music in this film. What this film does so brilliantly is Ellie's theme running throughout the movie. Those beautiful 4 notes are played throughout the movie and in several different ways. And so because of that, Ellie the character is represented throughout the movie in different ways. not just through the house but in the music. The music plays as if she is there having a conversation with Carl and Russell, which represents the idea of Carl hanging on to Ellie in every possible way and learning to overcome her and having to let her go. Having this musical theme throughout the movie ties the entire thing together. Every line of dialogue and visual imagery can be linked together through music, which makes the film never boring or lose its focus. Even Russell, who despite having his own subplot of wanting to assist Carl for his Wilderness Explorer badge, gets linked with Carl's story because of the themes all tie in together. Carl, Russell, and even Ellie all learn from each other and have a common interest. The score for Up is so unique because not only have I never seen this in Pixar history, but also in film history. I watch a lot of films and I've heard a lot of film scores, but never have I ever heard a score quite like this. They took the same score, played it several different ways, and somehow made what could have been seen as lazy writing into something incredibly clever. The themes of Up are so emotional because, similar to the music, it's all linked. When Carl finally sits down and reads Ellie's book, the payoff is so brilliant because you experience everything with Carl. You see the opening sequence of the movie, just how happy they were together despite Ellie not living her childhood dream. No tiny detail is ever missed and every payoff is earned because you experience everything with Carl. You see why Carl wants to keep his promise and you understand Ellie's message to Carl, because even though Ellie doesn't get much screen time, you get to see her happy life with Carl. Ellie's message is so incredibly powerful because it flips the story on its head in a major positive way. In a world where especially animated movies' messages tend to be live your dreams or don't give up on your dreams, it's very adult and almost refreshing to say that it's okay to have your dreams change and be slightly different. Ellie may not have got to live on Paradise Falls, but she got an even better dream out of it. A fantastic life with a husband she loves. This just shows how much this film is way more for adults than children, the meaning that you really have to dig deep to understand it. I remember watching this film for the first time with my family, and at the time a family member of mine didn't quite understand it, as she didn't understand the thought behind when Carl's house floats into the clouds and Carl simply states, "It's just a house." Whereas this line is perfect with the narrative of its theme of Carl needing to let Ellie go and move on. This film is so uplifting, see what I did there? Because the emotional payoffs are earned. It knows when to make you laugh, it knows when to make you cry, and when your characters succeed, there is a huge sense of inspiration for this film. This film gives me hope, just like Andy said.
Hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies.
The only tiny small gripe, and I am digging so deep for this, is the film's villain. Charles Muntz is a good villain, he is pretty well motivated, and to be fair, he's quite scary sometimes. But in my opinion, he's not as good as other Pixar villains, but you can tell that the story isn't focused on him. It's focused on Carl, so it's a very small gripe. So after all that, I think you can join me in saying that this film gets my professional rating of 9 out of 10, but my personal rating of 10 out of 10. I mean, any film that makes me cry every time I watch it has got to get a solid score from me. So thank you for joining me in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave it in the comment section your favourite Up moment, and tune in next week when we get to talk about the long-awaited third sequel, Toy Story 3. If you like this video, please leave a like as it really helps me out, and subscribe and hit the notification button so you never miss a video. I'm constantly checking my video information and I love making this video, so please subscribe down below. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you all in the next one.